Hello and welcome. You're watching Embassy News. I'm Nilanjana Banerjee and we are interviewing the Algerian ambassador to India, His Excellency Mr. Hamza Sharif. Your Excellency, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak to us. Embassy News, we are here to basically try and understand and explore the deep cultural relations between two countries. So we are aware that both are friendly nations and that Algeria supports the United Nations, India's candidature for the United Nations Security Council. So what else is interesting about the relations between the two countries?
Good afternoon, Madam, and most welcome to you and to the ENTV team. You are really most welcome in the Algeria house here. I would like to start by surprising you as a team of ENTV and also even the Indian people, because I have been told that in the eastern part of Algeria, one city called Constantine, which used to be called Sirta in the Roma time and even before, there is one small village called Tidis where, surprisingly enough, there is a stone representative Shiva.
Shiva, as in Lord Shiva, Shivaling.
Yes.
Wow.
I have been told that very recently by a professor who is the deputy director of University of Constantine, which got so many Indian friends, and once he took them to that place and they witnessed that, yes, it is a representation of Indian culture and even the god Shiva is there.
Wow.
So this is really, it has been even a surprise for me to see that this is something like 3,000 years back. So see how the relations are deep between the two peoples.
Right.
So that's why it was very obvious that Jawaharlal Nehru, when he once met our first diplomats in Bandung in April 1955 for the conference of Bandung, Jawaharlal Nehru, and through him, full India did support Algeria for the fighting for its independence.
You're aware that what we are trying to do here is have a closer and a deeper understanding of the cultures of the two countries and what you are doing to promote that. First, tell me, what are your impressions of India as you serve as the Algerian ambassador?
My impression is very simple in the sense that no other country is like India. For me, India is unique. Indian society is unique. For me, it's not a country or continent, it's a mosaic where you have to understand first and to taste and to see everything. And it's not the first time that I am here in India, it's my third time because I did serve here in 88 to 90 and I have come here by the end of the year 2000 to prepare the visit of my head of state as the chief guest of the Republic Day for 2001.
Right.
And I have come in February 2015 as ambassador. So somehow my colleagues used to call me the specialist of Asia and especially India because India is something, it's like a flower, once a rose, once you smell its perfume, then you like it and you love it for good. So I like everything in India. It's music. My best singer is Lata Mangeshkar, and among the songs of Lata Mangeshkar, I have two. The one which called Wada Natod.
Can you sing it for us?
Unfortunately, not. And the second one of Lata, which is talking about the country, Kilog and the Shahid, and which is exact.
Mere Watan ke logo?
Yes,
Huh?
which is exactly like the Algerian song. I mean, the Algerian poem when we are chanting and about our freedom for the liberation of the country.
So we know about the economic ties. We know about Maruti. We know about oil. We know that ISRO helped launch one of your satellites to orbit. But let's talk about the cultural relations between the two countries. And how do you, as an ambassador, it's one of your duties is, of course, to ensure that there is an understanding of each other's culture. So what are you doing to ensure that in India we have a larger awareness as far as Algerian culture is concerned?
Thank you for this question, because before the cultural links and ties, when I reached here in February 2015, the two governments, through the mechanism of joint commission, did not met for 15 years. Okay. The last visit of VVIP level has been the one done by my head of state in January here, in January 2001, as a chief guest. There was no joint commission, no VVIP visit, and fortunately, with the help of God and my staff and the Indians, partners in the MEA, we have been successful enough to organize the Joint Commission in May 2015. It means just 3-4 months after my arrival. We had political consultation, and last not least, we had India as the chief guest of the International Trade Fair of Algiers, which is the most important economic event in the country. Having said that, I have also to say that I did receive 4 ministers in just 3 months, between October to December 2015 up to January 2016. 4 ministers were visiting India, and in this last October, we had the privilege and the honor to receive the Vice President, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Hamid Ansari, as the first time as an Indian Vice President to visit Algeria. He has been received by the 4 highest people in the hierarchy of the state, which means the head of state, the chairman of the Senate, the chairman of the National Assembly, and the Prime Minister. He was so impressed by his visit, and my head of state was so happy to receive him that the protocol was putting 20 minutes, and the talks went for more than 1 hour. Okay. This was just to show that what is the place and the weight of India and the heart and the spirit of my head of state, President Abdelaziz Bouteflika. And I have been told by the Vice President that while he was talking to him, the head of state just stopped talking to the Vice President and turned to the Algerian people, which were the Algerian delegation, which were the chairman of the Council of the Nation, the Senate, the National Assembly, and the Prime Minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, telling them, please don't forget what India did as help for our liberation, for the independence of the country.
Right.
So, having said that, we are actually, the time I am talking to you, one big delegation is in Algeria, led by the Secretary of Secretary F of the Ministry of Fertilizers and Chemicals, to see how to do a big deal in terms that Indian will invest to transform phosphate, rock phosphate, into fertilizers, because the Indian market has a huge demand of that.
Right.
So this was political,
Yes.
this was economical. Now let's see how the culture, what I am planning for that. So I made 2 or 3 times. I have made lectures in the different universities here, and it was to say that future is among the youth, not among the old people.
Of course.
So I am planning to do with Indian government and even with the civil society, how to promote youth to youth contact, visit, campus, whatever. Engagement to let the people know much better each other culture, each other way to configure out the future.
Talking about culture, your own, I can see that, you yourself are very proud of your culture. Can you explain to me a little bit about the costume that you're wearing? I can see that it's a traditional Algerian costume. Can you just enlighten us a little bit about what it is?
Thank you once again for this question, because you are here seeing the 2 parts of the Algerian personality. This one, it's made out of wool.
Okay.
We call it birnus. Birnus is a word coming from the indigenous language of the Algerian people, the Amazigh. Amazigh means free. Those were the indigenous population of my country before the arrival of Islam in Algeria. And this one, we call it Gandora. It's got the Arab Muslim influence on our culture. So what you are seeing here is the culture, actually our double culture, the indigenous culture of the people, the Amazigh, the Berbers, we call it generally the Berbers, and this, the Gandora, which is more close to the Arab countries, but with the Maghreb. Maghreb means the western part of the Arab world. North Africa is called actually Maghreb. Maghreb actually is the sunset. Why? Because the sun high is in the east and the sunset is in the west. So Maghreb is the western part of the Arab world. The dress is almost Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya is almost the same dress with little differences.
Right.
So let's see that in Algeria you have so many colors like India. In the Berbers area we got ladies wearing things which got the same colors as the Rajasthani woman.
Really?
Yes.
Very
it's not
colorful and bright.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very colorful, very bright. It's not the same fashion,
Right.
but it's almost 90% the same colors.
Your Excellency, where all have you traveled? You talked of Rajasthan. Have you traveled to Rajasthan?
I have been to Rajasthan twice because I have been to Jaipur for a few days and then Udaipur, where I attended a wedding of an Indian son, friends, who invited me, and I even got one funny picture because I have been invited to dress as a Rajasthani with a sword at the point that some of my Indian friends called me, you look like, between bracket, Rajasthani Maharaja. So the picture is somewhere in the residence, and your cameraman will maybe have a shot on it.
Have you tried different cuisines of India? I mean, have you tried the very spicy? I don't know about the cuisine of Algeria. We
Yes.
have a lot of spices. We mix and match a lot of spices in our food. So, have you tried Indian food?
Yes.
And what is your favorite?
Let me first tell you what I think about the confusion
Yeah.
made between spicy and chili.
Chili, yes.
Yes, sometimes when it is spicy in terms of chili hot,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a little bit hard for us. But believe me, I have been visiting between 88 and my last visit. I did visit Kashmir,
Okay.
I mean Srinagar, Lucknow, Cochin, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Udaipur, Jaipur. Agra, I don't know. I don't know really how many times I did visit. Believe me, I don't know really how many times. It does because this was the bridge between two religions,
Yes.
the biggest two religions in India, which are the Hinduism and Islam. And step by step, I was thinking that Indians believe in so many gods. No, actually, for me, it's just an interpretation because God is one.
Yeah, God is. It's just different forms of the same God. Yes.
Exactly, it's
That's a
different
misconception
forms.
that a lot of people have.
Yes, because in the Western countries, they have this misconception that for Indians, there is a lot of God. Actually, God is for everybody one. It's the misinterpretation or it's the manifestations of God, which are different from one country to another, from one language to another. But I think that in the deep, all religions are for peace,
And love.
love, and good relations between human beings.
Right.
So there is no difference.
Doesn't India overwhelm you? You know, I mean, every 50 to 100 kilometers, the dialect changes, the food changes, the dressing changes. So India is not really a country, right? It's a subcontinent, but there is an Indianness to it. So how do you deal with that? How do you really look at it?
Yes, I deal by the love which I am committed to India.
Okay.
And I did name so many cities and I forgot one, Chandigarh. Yes, when I reached Chandigarh, I was a little bit surprised because less Indian spirit was there and more Western spirit was there. And then I did learn that Le Corbusier, the Switzerland, France architect, was the master to so I would say that it was clean, nice, very well organized, but I was not feeling myself I was yes, let me tell you, every times I go out and come back to India, I don't feel myself foreigner here. The only one time I felt myself foreigner, it was the day when I visited Chandigarh. Yes, I really felt that I was outside of India, and otherwise wherever I have been, I did eat what the Indians. My best food here is the real dal made by people just on the street.
The yellow dal or the black dal?
Any dal.
Okay.
Any dal. My favorite is of course the Bukhara dal. But in the street dal, I like all dals with chapati, and I did even share with the people. Sometimes I give just some rupees and say, can I taste? Yes, why not? Okay. Just to share how deep is this culture, the culture of this country, how deep is in mine.
What else? What about the cultural ties between the two countries, the people-to-people contact? What do you have to say about that?
Culturally, it's the spirit of fighting for justice, because both of us, we have been colonized for so many years. And despite the fact that there is thousands of kilometers, but an Indian and an Algerian, when they met in New York or in Sydney or in Paris, even if the Algerian does not speak English as well as the Indian would have wished to, but in just few words they get in touch, and in few minutes they become friends. So what I want to say is that distance is not something like an obstacle between peoples, because you could be in very bad relations with your brother or your neighbor, and you could be in very, very good relations with somebody in another continent.
Right.
This is the deep feelings of the human being, and I think and I do believe that between Algerians and Indians something is very deep in their soul, in their mind, that they are so close to each other.
It snows in Algeria, right? So, like it does in our Kashmir and other parts of North India, Northeast India. So, what do you think can be done as far as tourism between the two countries are concerned? How can tourism be promoted?
Yes, this is one of the things I was thinking. Since I would say that since I did put the basic of now revamp the political relation and renew with the political dialogue at the highest level after the visit of the Vice President and the meeting with my head of state, my President of the Republic. Now it's time to go other parts of the life. Algeria, where is it? It's in Africa. Can you imagine how will be shocking people when we say, please come to snow in Africa?
Right.
I mean to ski in Africa. Because in some part of Algeria, not very far actually from Algiers, it's a matter of less than 1 hour driving from the capital city, Algiers, we have Sharia where we have snow. In my hometown city, called Sitif, which is 1,200 meters above the sea level, we have snow at least 4 or 5 times.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
My God.
The temperature could be even to -10.
Wow. Okay.
And other parts in the Kabylie area, we have mountains where we have snow, ski, and where we have facility to have ski. It's not really developed because it's not very well known. But I am going to work on it in these coming months, and hopefully by next year we will send tourists to. Let's first, now the political are in the good mood, business to business are now starting. Fiki is going to organize in February one economic event, summit, which will be called Namaskar. Namaskar Africa.
Okay.
Yes, where it is in Algiers as the hub of the North Africa, to try to make Algeria as a bridge between India and Africa. Because Algeria is the gate,
Right.
the main gate to go to Africa.
Right.
So let's see how many projects do we have, how many ideas, and we just need to work on it. So it took me 20 months, which is long, but what is short. Because this is something funny also. In India and Algeria, we do share so many common values. Some are good, nationalism and fighting for the justice, and something are bad, like everything takes time. It took me anyway almost 20 months to put the political relations in the best level we could. Now we should move to other sectors.
So, I'm aware that you love watching Bollywood movies. You just talked about your love for Rajasthan and Rajasthani dance. You've traveled so much. You said you've been to Chennai. You would have witnessed Bharatnatyam. What about Algeria? What about the dance and the music there? What are the commonalities?
Believe me, we have the same, because if you go to the cities of Tlemcen, Algiers, Constantine, Gardaya, Tizi Ouzou, all those Batna, the Shawi, all those they have dance, man and woman, different dress, different colors, different music, which are exactly very close to Rajasthan, to Hyderabad music, to Kashmir music, to, believe me, so many common points. You cannot imagine. Once we will get deep in the cultural links, you will see how common are the colors, the music, the happiness of both people.
I have to ask you about the dates I just had. I mean, they're out of the world. I've not tasted anything like it. Can you tell me a little more about them?
These dates, Algerian dates, are traditionally called Deglet Noor. Deglet means that. Kajur is for you, Kajur.
Khajur, yes.
Kajur, yes. Deglet means dates, and the Noor is like the Urdu where the Noor means light. This date has the particularity to be known by the fact that if you put one fruit just beside the light, you can see the stone over it. It's a very tasty date. It's a date which is, even if it's ate by people who have diabetes, they will not suffer of it. Of course, they should not take 1 kg in once, and they could do it because it's so tasty that you will be tempted to do it. But believe me, it's a very, very, the best, I think, the best dates in the area. Even in the neighbors countries like Tunisia or Morocco, they do have same, mainly in Tunisia, but it's not the same taste, it's not the same color.
Your Excellency, I would like to thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to us. And I also wish you all the best in your endeavors. Like you said, there is a revival of political ties. And then you will move on to economic ties and then cultural ties. And that is so critical for people-to-people understanding and friendship between the two countries. I wish you all the very best, sir. And thank you so much for talking to Embassy News. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam.